Broadcasting across the state of Wisconsin on the Civic Media Radio Network and around the world on the Civic Media app. This is the Dom Salvia Show. And now, here's your host, Dom Salvia.
And happy Monday. Welcome to the Dom Salvia Show. You can be a part of this fine production. 855-752-4842, 855-75 Civic. Got just PS on the board and you on the lines. Let's get to it. Big show today. Our favorite, Harvey K., Professor Emeritus of Democracy at the University of Wisconsin, Green Bay, going to join me at 5 o'clock. We're going to talk about what's going on in this country. We got some problems, and now you're going to hear about it. And a Dane County judge ruling on Act 10 as unconstitutional. We're going to dive into that as well with our favorite socialist, our FDR socialist, JFK, RFK Jr.'s so many letters. Our favorite FDR socialist, Harvey K., at 5 o'clock. If you folks are sticking around after listening to the Maggie Dawn show, of course, I come on there 30 minutes before her show ends. In case you missed it, we're talking about the presidential pardon of Hunter Biden. Joe did it. Said he wasn't going to do it.
Many times he said not going to do it.
And then he said, and then he did it.
Then he did it.
And we're trying to get a sense of how you feel about that. We had some callers want to continue that conversation just for a little bit. We have some of the reporting on it I want to highlight for you to help us engage in this conversation. New York Times, just a little bit from the reporting here. Biden issued a full and unconditional pardon of his son Hunter on Sunday night after repeatedly insisting he would not do so, using the power of his office to wave aside years of legal troubles, including a federal conviction for illegally buying a gun and for tax evasion. In a statement issued by the White House, Biden said he decided to issue the executive grant of clemency for his son. He said he made the decision because the charges against Hunter were politically motivated and designed to hurt him. So, and the range, the period, he's getting this clemency from January 1st of 2014 through December 1st of 2024. That was yesterday. And if he told, Hunter on, at the Thanksgiving meal on Thursday, what was Hunter doing Friday and Saturday that he had to get done before Sunday? I'm just wondering why the dates. And can I get one too, please? I mean, I haven't done anything really, really wrong, but just in case, Joe, if you're handing them out, I'll take one. A statement as reported by the AP, apnews.com. Here is what Joe Biden said. Today, I signed a pardon for my son, Hunter. From the day I took office, I said I would not interfere with the Justice Department's decision-making, and I kept my word, even as I have watched my son being selectively and unfairly prosecuted. Without aggravating factors like use in a crime, multiple purchases, or buying a weapon as a straw purchaser, people are almost never brought to trial on felony charges solely for how they filled out a gun form. That's true. Those who were late paying their taxes because of serious addictions but paid them back subsequently with interest and penalties are typically given non-criminal resolutions. It is clear that Hunter was treated differently. Those charges in his case came about only after several of my political opponents in Congress instigated them to attack me and oppose my election. Then, a carefully negotiated plea deal, agreed to by the Department of Justice, unraveled in the courtroom with a number of my political opponents in Congress taking credit for bringing political pressure to the process. Had the plea deal held, it would have been a fair, reasonable resolution of Hunter's cases. No reasonable person who looks at the facts of Hunter's cases can reach any other conclusion that Hunter was singled out only because he's my son, and that is wrong. There has been an effort to break Hunter, who has been 5.5 years sober, even in the face of unrelenting attacks and selective prosecution. In trying to break Hunter, they've tried to break me, and there's no reason to believe it will stop here. Enough is enough. For my entire career, I have followed a simple principle. Just tell the American people the truth. They'll be fair-minded. Here's the truth. I believe in the justice system, but as I have wrestled with this, I also believe raw politics has infected this process, and it led to a miscarriage of justice. And once I made the decision this weekend, there was no sense in delaying it further. I hope Americans will understand why a father and a president would come to this decision. 855-752-4842. 855-75-CIVIC. Now, the prosecutor in the case, according to thehill.com, as you can imagine, objects to dismissing the tax case after the pardon. Special counsel David Weiss rejected suggestions that he selectively prosecuted Biden in court filings, where he also objected to dismissing charges following a sweeping pardon. As mentioned, the full and unconditional pardon given Sunday evening, making an about face on previous vows. Yeah, a lot of reporting of that. He said he wasn't going to do it, and then he did it. I mean, that happens quite a lot with politicians, does it not?
It does.
And it bothers me either way. I mean, anyway, there was none, and never has been any evidence of vindictive or selective prosecution in this case, Weiss wrote in the court filings. Now, his remarks come in response to Hunter's notification in federal court of his pardon, where the younger Biden is seeking the dismissal of his tax case. Biden made a similar request in Delaware, where he was convicted on federal gun charges over the summer. Now, in the filing, the special counsel argued the charges should not be automatically dismissed with prejudice. Instead, the court should end all proceedings and close the case by merely reflecting a pardon as the final disposition. The appearance appears largely procedural. But in furthering the government's argument, Weiss contended that the pardon does not absolve Hunter Biden of his guilt, nor point to any defect in his indictment. He also noted the government has yet to see the official pardon. His quote, "If media reports are accurate, the government does not challenge that the defendant has been the recipient of an act of mercy, but that does not mean the grand jury's decision to charge him based on a finding of probable cause should be wiped away as if it never occurred. It also does not mean that his charges should be wiped away because the defendant falsely claimed that the charges were the result of some improper motive. No court has agreed with the defendant on these baseless claims, and his request to dismiss the indictment finds no support in the law or the practice of this district." The U.S. District Judge Mark Scarsi, who's overseeing the tax case in California, has not yet ruled on the dismissal. But the federal judge in the Delaware case, the gun case, says she intends to terminate the proceedings against him once the pardon is docketed, but asked Weiss to inform her whether his office objects to the dismissal in that case as well. Weiss did file a similar filing in the Delaware case opposing the dismissal as well. Now, Hunter was scheduled to be sentenced in the two cases later this month, according to the Hill. Later this month? I mean, why not let the sentencing go through? What if the guy gets probation? Why? And he gets off on it. And off, you get convicted of probation, whatever.
Right.
But if there's not a jail time, if it's just a slap on the wrist, then why not let that? Why do it now? I got so many problems with this.
I'm frustrated with it as well. I really did hope that Joe Biden would not use his presidential authority to pardon his son. I wanted to see this be a moment to stick by the virtues that he claims to hold and that is supposed to differentiate this administration from the incoming one.
Oh, that's so nice.
I know,
that's
right?
A nice thought.
I know, it's naive. So I'm frustrated with it. And like you, I wish that Biden would have waited for sentencing.
Yes. Well, I mean, there's so many problems. I mean, the timing, the decision itself. And again, I get it. What would I do if I was in that situation? Number one, I wouldn't have said jack about it. Oh, I'm not going to do it. He asked again. Oh,
you wouldn't have.
He was defensive. Committed several times, like dressing
no, I'm
down.
not going to use it. It's a done deal. I've said it before. I'll say it again. I'm not going to do it.
No, hell no, absolutely not. Okay, now I'm going to do it.
But I'm not going to do it.
Oh, okay. So now you're just like all the other ones. Well, okay. Now is that fair? Is that to say that? Maybe not.
Is politics fair?
Is life fair?
Is life fair?
Life isn't fair. 855-752-4842. I think it's problematic. I think if he would just kept his mouth shut and if his response to, if you're going to pardon your son, his response should have been at the time. My response would have been, we're going to let the justice system play out. Period. Done deal. And then worry about it later. You don't have to say no then. You didn't have to do it now. You could have waited till sentencing. And for all those folks out there that are so concerned, this opens the door for Trump. Give me a break.
The door was already kicked
There's
wide
no
open.
door.
There wasn't a door.
Trump's going to do what Trump's going to do, and all you folks that voted for him, well, you gave him that power. So bring it on, I guess. Kash Patel, head of the FBI. I mean, the guy's a QAnon dude. I mean, really? This is where we're going? So I have, philosophical issues with it. I get the parental concern about it, and if I had the ability, would I do it? Probably, but I would not. I would certainly not have set myself up to be called a hypocritical, lying politician. 855-752-4842. Ron from the MKE. We're gonna get to you. Happy Monday, Ron. What do you think?
Hey, I don't want to be accused of whataboutism, but it's not just that Trump has already telegraphed that he's going to do this, like free hundreds of violent protesters at the insurrection, violent people, but he's already done it. I mean, he pardoned Roger Stone. I think he pardoned Paul Manafort. They were all political operatives in his pocket. He pardoned a couple of members of his extended family.
Yep.
Who were
now one of them is going to be the ambassador to France who got a pardon from Donald Trump.
Two of them are going to be ambassadors. Yeah, two father-in-laws are going to be ambassadors, and one of them is convicted of pretty significant crimes. So, when you say Trump, now you've opened the door for Trump to do this. No, he opened the door last term.
I mean, come on, right? But Ron, I mean, should we be critical? Should we hold our own to a higher standard? I kind of feel like, well, here we go, man. I mean, he's not much different, at least in this regard. Certainly in the politics and in the legislation that Biden got passed, much different than Trump. But in this regard, taking care of your own, putting yourself and your family ahead of perhaps the country, now giving, even if you and I agree, Ron, that Trump's going to do it anyway, now giving all the megas all the ammo they need to justify it, even though they really didn't need it anyway. Ron, are we being too harsh?
No, I think I think the heartfelt people who care about these kinds of things should speak up. But on the other hand, it's one person that and he may pardon more people before it's over. In fact, I was listening to a political talk podcast this morning in which the guy said, hell, he should pardon 10 million people. Or at least 1 million.
Yeah. Oh, thank you for the call, Ron. Appreciate it. 855-752-4842. Going to come back with more of your calls. But I had that same thought before coming on the air. I mean, why not pardon everyone? Everyone gets a pardon. Everybody gets a pardon. We're going to start everything over. Everyone gets a pardon. So, so Trump has no ammo? I mean, again, to what degree of extremes do we go to prove a point? You tell me. 855-752-4842.
One minute.
Dom Salvia Show, 855-752-4842, 855-75 It's a phone line. It's a text line. Got some callers. We'll get to you shortly. A couple folks jumping in on the text line as well. It's both, folks. It's high tech, man. That's how we roll on here at Civic Media. WMDX, Lama from Madison says, I'll take a pardon. I'm tired of waiting on the statute of limitations. Yeah, you and me both, man. I think Biden should be like the Oprah of pardons, because if he's not, Trump's gonna be. Kerry from Tulsa, in Biden's defense, he was strong-armed by the party to step aside, so that kind of changes the circumstances of when he said he wouldn't pardon his son. Who even care about scruples anymore? Dems need to just let them go or we'll never win again. Ooh, God, that's a tough one for me to take, Kerry from Tulsa. We got to have some standards, right? I mean, it can't be a heartfelt, philosophical, character-building standard if we just dismiss it when the other side gets away with it and they get a win on it. I mean, either these things matter or they don't. And I think that's the part that I struggle with. I'm sure a lot of us struggle with that as well. Cam from Appleton, we played the hold our own to a higher standard all of the last 8 years when it came to Trump. I'm tired of that game. It has done jack for us. Well, I mean, we only lost this election by, 1.5% of the popular vote. And I'm not clear that if we get in the mud and do all the crazy ass things that we have talked about, the megas getting involved in, that's going to make us any more successful to get, whatever agenda the progressives and Democrats may have. There's no guaranteed win on that. I think the danger on that is that you end up alienating a lot of the folks that actually care about these things. If you care about the rule of law, if the Republicans are doing the same things and the Democrats are doing the same things, where's your home there? If all of a sudden the Dems start doing this, these very same things. Oh, we're going to pardon everybody, to hell with it. We're going to go after everybody, to hell with it. And of course, that's on the other side, on the mega side, that's how they view these prosecutions. Of course, we don't see it that way. I think Donald Trump was engaged in a seditious conspiracy, as many of the conspirators during January 6th were convicted. Think Proud Boys, right? Think Oath Keepers. Some of those cats went away for a very long time. I'm not talking about just trespassing and getting caught up on in the riot. That's not what I'm saying. Some of these folks were planning for a very long time to do this. The effort was to stop the count, to overthrow the government. They met at the Willard Hotel. Google it, folks. So those things did happen. Now, I know the big speechifying on the right, oh, no, those things never happened. There's nothing more than trespassing. I mean, you can say it over and over again, doesn't make it so. So if some folks did get caught up on it, they probably didn't get some heavy sentences. If you're convicted of seditious conspiracy, yeah, those cats got like 20 years. So that's going to now whether or not Trump pardons people, I don't know if it's going to be an issue anymore. I think he certainly will. And if he does he pardon just, the real estate agent who flew in on a plane from Texas, doing the peace sign in front of the broken windows, who got quote unquote caught up in it? Will he pardon her also, along with Rhodes and these other cats from the Oath Keepers and the Proud Boys who are convicted of seditious conspiracy? Are those the same pardons? Are they both deserving of the same clemency, the executive grant of clemency? And again, the New York Times reporting the quote, Hunter Biden, executive grant of clemency for his son, Hunter, for those offenses against the United States which he has committed or may have committed or taken part in during the period of January 1st of 2014 to December 1st of 2024. Man. So there might be some things that he got away with that we didn't even know about.
Well, that's possible.
855-752-4842. Let's just pardon everybody, to hell with it. I mean, let's start over. Everyone gets a do-over. Everybody gets a do-over.
Wipe the whole slate clean.
Everything's clean. Whole slate is clean.
That sounds refreshing.
Let's try it again.
Let's try it.
Who we got here? I believe Jeannie from Eau Claire. You are next. Happy Monday, Jeannie. What do you think?
I think he needs to be pardoned. I watched those hearings in the House, and they were outrageous. I watched, when we were watching all of the different things that Trump was involved in. Give me a break. He was using Biden, who wasn't even working in our country for our president. And look at what Trump's kids did. I'm getting sick of this holier than thou thing too, because you know what? We're getting some pretty bad people put into some of those offices.
All right, so if Biden, if Biden or some of the other kids or some other president starts acting like the Trump kids and they're a Democrat, we're just going to be like, oh, that's totally fine and normal now. That's how it should be. No, I think we always stand up against the grift and the taking advantage of the power and the position, regardless of where you're at. You're supposed to work for the American people, not to pad your own pocketbook, man. That's the whole point of service. I mean, that's what I thought it was. Apparently, it's about getting paid, Jeannie.
Well, I thought, too, is that he paid back those fines, and there were other issues concerned in there. And the thing of it is that what if they hold him off? And what if they do some other things to him? I mean, these people are pretty darn wicked, and Trump is out for revenge. And I think he should protect his son from what the devil's coming in there next as people look at their backgrounds. It's pretty scary stuff.
All right, Gene, let's go down that road then. So what about those involved in the January 6th committee? Any of the politicians? Anybody that Trump has ever mentioned their name in the Truthy socials or on Twitter or on whatever social media? Should everybody just get a pardon, or should we just let it lay? You know what I mean? Because if Donald Trump is going to, quote unquote, weaponize the FBI like they say the Dems weaponized it against the Republicans, all right, go at it. Have at it. I mean, if you folks want to tear this whole thing down, burn the whole thing down and start entirely over, go nuts, right? That's the attitude, Gene. That's where we're at.
Well, hey, they're going to do it anyway. I mean, look at Trump. Look at what he's did. And look at what he's got away with. Oh, we're going to put this trial off. And, oh, he can't be sentenced because of this. I mean, this is just so sickening. And I watched that attack on the Capitol live, and I was waiting when they were counting the electoral votes in the state of Wisconsin. I watch every year, and something was going on when they were pulling that crap in the state of Wisconsin they got away with. Come on, we got a lot of criminals out there, and these are significant ones that did crimes against all of us. So that's my opinion, and I'm sticking to it.
All right, Ginny, we appreciate you sharing it with us. You can do so as well. 855-752-4842, 855-75-CIVIC. Should Biden have pardoned his son Hunter? What do you think? back to the Dom Salvia Show, 855-752-4842. Jess on the board, you on the line, and on the text as well. Let's get back to it. Joe Biden pardoning Hunter over the weekend. A full-on pardon, man, for anything he may have ever done for like 10 years.
In a 10-year span.
Oy, must be nice if you can get it. When I was on with Maggie today, and one of the things I think that bothers me about this, beyond just the hypocrisy and of Joe Biden saying, "Oh, I'm not going to do it," and then go and do it. Okay. Politicians say they're not going to do things, and read my lips, no new taxes, right? I mean, these things happen. Donald Trump, I'm going to build a wall, and Mexico's going to pay for it. Apparently, so those things do happen. But it just seems to me the impression that this gives of older, white, wealthy, connected individuals taking care of their own. Taking care of themselves, taking care of everybody around them. And if you're not old, white, generally male, wealthy, and connected, you don't get those opportunities. And that's just, and I don't know how anybody in this country can look at what's happened here with the Joe Biden, and certainly with, Trump pardoning like Manafort, for example, or Charles Kushner, or Roger Stone, for example. Can look at that and say, well, that's just, justice how it is. Normal, every day. No problem, nothing to see here. The rest of us live with one system. They live with another. It just seems to make it so abundantly clear. And if the rest of us, the 99.9 percenters, whether or not you're a white male or not, we deal, certainly, if you're not a white male, you have another tier of injustice, perhaps, you could talk about. In the way that we run our country, in the way that we've decided to enforce our laws selectively, let's call it. It just seems like it's such a dichotomy of those folks and the rest of us. And that really bothers me more than anything. When are we going to get up there? When are we going to get a chance to take care of our own? Our own being us, we the people, instead of me and my family and my cohorts. 855-752-4842. Let's see some of the texters. Let's get to it. What do I see here? We're getting another election. We're not getting another election. You saw Project, 2025.
Cam's feeling very optimistic.
Cam, come on. Respectfully, it feels like hypocritical. Short version of it is that you talk about thinking that they put together conspiracy based on facts you told us to go look up, but you won't look at any of the evidence compiled showing how statistically impossible Trump's win was, that he clearly cheated. One conspiracy over the other, man, ? It's a failure of media not to cover this. Well, respectfully, Cam, show me something, man. You got a lawsuit? You got a voting machine, man? You got a floppy disk? Maybe passing around data like it's a crack vials, Cam? What are you talking about? I get it, man. It's tough. It sucks. But unless you have something to show, you got a statistical analysis, you want to get the cyber ninjas, man? You got to do something and pull me some numbers and show me how Trump jerried the system in order to win? Because otherwise, man, you're just talking smack, and it sounds like the crazy on the other side. So you show me something besides a text, Cam, that says Trump, statistically, it's impossible that he won unless he cheated. Okay, fine. But what's the evidence? Show me how it was done. And then prove it in a court of law. Because until then, you sound like the rest of them from 2020, dude. 855-752-4842. Scott, our buddy from Shorewood, I'm sure the plan was for Kamala to do the pardoning of Hunter, not Joe. Unfortunately, that was no longer possible.
Yeah.
That's a good point. I didn't do it. She did it.
She did it. I don't have any control over her, that wild woman.
I mean, it's crazy. When you mentioned clean slate, had to give you credit for a great idea. Well, thank you, John from Milwaukee. It's actually from the Batman Rising movie where Catwoman is trying to steal a microchip called Clean Slate. Wiped out any info of your past. I'll buy that for $1. Great show. Hey, John. Appreciate it.
Thanks, John.
Clean slate. Well, if they're going to give them out, man, give them out. I mean, isn't anybody that's ever been convicted thinks it's conspiracy against them. It was an injustice.
I
They
think
were
there's like,
persecuted.
maybe 1 out of 20 is just like, yep, I did it.
But everybody else, man, they got railroaded.
Right,
It wasn't me. It wasn't
right.
me. 855-752-4842. All right, well, we got some callers lining up here, so let's get to it. Richard from Waukesha. Welcome, Richard. What do you got for us?
Well, I didn't start the United Nations in New York. I think, with all these close relationship people, it's like the old days of New York crime families where they're getting in to be such a big group that they're going to have problems from the whole world.
Right on, man. Thank you for the call. 855-752-4842. They seem to take care of their own.
Mm-hmm.
What did Carlin say? It's a big group and you ain't in it.
Uh-huh.
Let's see. Let's get down to Jake from the MKE. Welcome, Jake. What do you got?
Yeah, I think this whole conversation is absolutely ridiculously stupid, to be honest.
Yeah, tell me why.
Tom, but
Hey, but thank you for
because,
participating in it.
Yeah. Well, the thing is that okay, if you actually look at it, his son's charges were actually not that uncommon, and nor were they that bad in the long run. I mean, seriously, if you ask me, if we're doing a comparison politically to what the fascists have been doing, Trump has like a rape cabinet, okay?
No, I get it, but these things are not necessarily related, though, dude. You know what I'm saying?
They are related.
How are they related?
Are related entirely.
Tell me.
Because if you look at this, all right, so his stuff is not great, but it's not like worse. And you're a father, and your son is going to have to go and not have justice done with the fascists get in. They're going to use him as a frickin' punching bag, right? So there won't be any real justice. It'll just be politics of using his son.
Well, I mean,
So
Jake, listen. Well, I understand. Well, okay, but now what? You have no problem with a politician like Joe Biden, who you probably voted for, telling you he was going to do something or not going to do something, then he does the opposite. That just gets a pass.
Well, you know what? I'm going to tell you this, because conditions have changed. So he doesn't get a pass.
What changed?
But that doesn't mean
what changed, Jake?
He didn't do the right thing for his son. What changed?
Yes, what changed?
What changed? You're going to have a Department of Justice that is going to be used by Trump to go after his enemies.
Okay.
That's what's changed. I mean,
but Hunter Biden's already
thing.
in. He was getting sentenced, man. You know, I mean, these cases have already, as far as I know. So it's not going to be like prosecuted again.
It doesn't. Oh yeah, they can do it. Are you kidding? They don't care about laws, Dom. I mean, all those old paradigms are gone.
So then nothing matters, and we're all going to die, Jake. I mean, what are you telling me here, man?
No, I am telling you that this is stupid. And in like 2 weeks, we're not even going to be talking about it because there's more important things to talk about, like how they're going to destroy the Department of Education or try to, make things so bad that they're going to be like, oh, it's bad now. We have to cut this. We're sorry. That's the real issues coming up. And I'll fight. I'm on your side, man. I'll fight for you. But some of this stuff, like this is just like little window dressing on the side. It doesn't mean anything.
Well, it can be window dressing, Jake, if you let it be. For some, it's an existential philosophical quandary. You know what I'm saying? Because how do you let your guy or your politician, the one you support, get away with that? Because you certainly wouldn't be so ambivalent if it was Trump and Jr. with the, getting caught with blow and a gun. You know what I'm saying? I mean, I highly doubt that, Jake. I'm going to put words in your mouth, man. But I think you'd be a little more like, hey, man, you said you weren't going to do it. No, so I just don't know that we can just allow and have our criticism halted because, now it's our guy. No, man, that's not how I roll, dude. And those other things, you can do more than one thing at a time, man. Yes, there's a lot of hurt that's going to be coming. There's a lot of chaos because that's what it's all about, man. He's a chaos president. That's what people want. They want to shake it up. Well, we're going to get that. But that doesn't mean that I'm going to, just dismiss the BS coming out of Joe Biden's mouth when he was so above and beyond, man. No, I told you I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to do it. He was a jerk about it. And then he goes and does it. No, I have a problem with that. There's a lot of folks that probably deserve pardons, as Maggie was saying. You know, a lot of the feds, a lot of the policy and the efforts to get people to plead out. You know, you overcharge, you charge a lot, you break them down, you bust their chops, you break them. You break them mentally, you break them financially. Bang, 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 right? That's what's going to come, right? Well, I don't think that's okay if it's a Democrat doing it or if it's a Republican doing it. And if it was Donnie Jr. with the crack and the gun, would you be so fine with it? I mean, maybe my standards are, I try to be consistent, folks. That's my thing. I'm going to be consistent. If I got a problem with a politician lying about something, I got a problem with a politician lying about it. I'm not going to just say, oh, well, that was Joe. I voted for Joe, so that's fine. No, absolutely not. Now, you want to try to redefine how the Democrats and progressives and even moderates and those that aren't fascistic, come together and work together to try to overcome what seemingly might be massive disinformation. Well, we got to accept all of our positions, right? Mine is don't say stupid things and then go against it. No, I'm not going to pardon my son. Absolutely not. I told you once. I'm going to pardon my son. No, man, that's the most basic thing. Now, is it gonna change anything? Is it gonna stop the wars? Is it gonna stop inflation? Is it gonna stop global warming? Is it gonna give women their rights back? No. But leaning into the stuff they do because they happen to win this time, man, that's not how I do it. 855-752-4842. But thank you, Jake. I always appreciate it, man. Mark from the SAC, you're up. Welcome. Happy Monday, Mark. What do you got?
Yeah, I'm equally torn on this. That I can, one of the things I'm far-fetching here, but I can just imagine that. I don't think that Hunter Biden was going to get away with with no jail time at all. And I think once he was in the system, I think that maybe Joe Biden was thinking, what are they going to do to his son after Trump gets into office?
Yeah.
I mean, maybe that's the wrong way to think about it. That because. I heard from a MAGA friend over the weekend, they were just, all the things that Hunter Biden supposedly did, they were found on the laptop. Well, of course, the laptop was probably corrupted anyway because it wasn't in his possession when they took it.
Right.
So, I mean, how that can be used as evidence is kind of rules of evidence. I mean, it wasn't in his custody. Who knows how it was doctored up. And I don't know what crimes he potentially could have committed. But maybe this can, that's probably why I think he probably did it. That I would have assumed he didn't do it because Trump has been pardoned.
Well, I mean, listen, but Mark, there's all sorts of reasons why. And as a father, I totally get it. But the point is, he said he wasn't going to do it, and then he did it. That's it. That's it. Doesn't matter. I get, the weaponization and Trump and blah, blah, blah. All those seems like excuses to me. The guy said it, and he was a jerk about it, and it stuck with me when he said it. I was like, oh, wow, you're really, really serious about that. And then he goes and does it, Mark. I mean, come on. That's it. That's end of conversation for me. Now, there's obviously other issues here, Mark. All these things are very rarely charged and never like that. Yep, got all that. But you think you're the only addict who got into some stupid trouble? You know what I mean? No, dude. You just happen to be the president's son who's a rich white guy who can, with a stroke of a pen, make all your problems go away. Oh, good for you. Sucks for everybody else. Law and order my ass. How about some consistency? The guy did the crime. It sucks. Yeah, he got railroaded up. But did he do it? Absolutely he did it. Yes, he did. Oh, they're going to sentence him. No, that never. Okay, yeah, got it. But he did it. And Joe said he wasn't going to pardon him. And he did. And that, to me, seems like BS. And I'm going to call it. And if you say you're going to do something, like call this show and you don't, I'm calling you out on it. 855-752-4842. And welcome back to the Dom Salvia Show, 855-752-4842. Phone lines are jam full. Going to get to them. You got to stick around, too. Harvey K., Professor Emeritus of Democracy at the University of Wisconsin, Green Bay, coming up at the top of the hour. Let's get to it. Someone from the 920 texted in, people who draw red lines risk painting themselves in a corner. Yes, that that can happen.
Yeah.
Let's see. Let's get to the phone lines. 855-752-4842. Connie from Stoughton. Hey, Connie, welcome. What do you got for us?
Hi. About this, I guess I just found out from you guys that Joe had pardoned or is pardoning Hunter.
Correct.
And I don't know if he would have done that if there would have been a normal, regular, decent Republican going into the White House. But with Donald Trump going in there, I mean, he makes no bones about it. He's got a retribution list and he's got a revenge list, and Joe and Hunter at the top of both of them. So they're going to be pretty miserable for the next 4 years.
And thank you for the call, Kenny. But my understanding was he was scheduled to be sentenced in the two cases later this month. So once that sentencing comes down, Connie, I mean, he's kind of out of the system at that point. The judge makes the call, right? So it's not like Donald Trump's going to be able to get in there and muck it up even more for him, at least in my humble non-lawyer opinion, Connie. Thank you for the call. If he's supposed to get sentenced, again, this is according to The Hill, Hunter Biden is set to be sentenced in the two cases later this month. Biden could have waited to see how that panned out. Could have seen if you got probation, is it worth the headache? Is it worth, going back on your word to the American people that you're not going to, take care of your own at the risk of giving justification, if nothing else, to the Trumpsters for what they're going to do. I get it as a father, but as a politician, you're going to lie to me, you're going to get called out on it. Thank you for the call, Connie. Annie, you're up. Welcome. What do you got for us?
Ditto on it's not a normal world and whatever's going on. He could, if he would get probation, no, Trump wouldn't be done with him. You go to prison when you make a violation, and he could be hounded, followed, the crookedness of the Trump people.
Yeah, but people on probation get hounded and followed all the time, Annie. It's called being on probation. You know what I mean?
Right.
I just don't know that the horror is going to come to the degree, and maybe it will. Maybe I'm just being lighthearted about it, and because I'm obviously calling out the lie, the very plain lie that Joe Biden told all of us, even those that voted for him. Does it going to change any of these major issues that we're talking about? No. But does it go to character? Does it go to keeping your word and all those kinds of things? Well, yeah, it kind of does. Because you could have just not. He caused this whole thing, and Joe, and the president, when he said he wasn't going to do it. He didn't have to say that. He could have waited on it. He could have done a lot of things. So that's why I'm calling him out on it. Thank you for the call, Annie. Tom from Jackson, you're up. Welcome, Tom. What do you got?
Hey, Dom. I hate to say it, but I agree with you. And, I think the whole idea from the beginning was to pardon him, but he should have waited, till the very end. Why do it now and make things more difficult for the Democrats? And I think the guy deserves a pardon, but the way he did it, now and back in the beginning, he should have said, well, I'm not really sure what I'm going to do. I'm going to wait and see how things go politically. But he didn't say that.
Right.
You're right. I mean, he said, well, no, I'm not going to do that. And that was stupid. Another stupid thing said by the president. It's just dumb. He shouldn't have said it that way because now it's making a problem.
Well,
I disagree, but I agree with you.
Yeah, thanks, Tom. Appreciate it. And I'm not happy about it. I don't want to call people out, but you got to call people out. And I hope, if I do that, call me out.
Will do.
Yes,
will do.
That's the expectation.
Mm-hmm.
If you say something and you don't follow through with it, especially the way he said it.
Yeah.
The way he talked about it when he was asked again by the reporter. And
the indignation behind it of how dare you assume that I would ever even consider.
I already told you I'm the president and I will not do. Oh, okay, you're going to get a pardon. Troy from Mount Horeb, you're up. Welcome. What do you got for us?
I'll start with the positive. I agree with you. He should have been more vague when he was asked the
right.
question.
I mean, politicians are great at being vague, aren't they, Troy? I mean, why not lean into it?
It's supposed to be the
I
greatest
agree with
skill.
you 100% on that. That said, I also agree 100% with the pardon because
this whole false equivalency about the J6 people and Bannon and whatever else, there's a total difference between what they did and what Hunter did. And, I never agreed with you talk about he got a break because his father was president. He's in this mess because his father was president, because I wouldn't have been convicted for it. You wouldn't have been convicted for it.
Yeah, well, but
he
Tom,
kept
it's not
abiding.
just, but it's also not just the gun crime, quote unquote, which I think is total bunk. You know what I mean? Oh, you're smoking crack when you check the box when you're buying a gun, and again, all the points that Joe Biden made in his defense, I don't necessarily disagree with, at least as it pertains to the gun charge. This doesn't very rarely happens, and it wasn't for Joe. They wouldn't go after that. But the tax evasion thing, man, come on. You know the problem is with rich people? They don't pay enough taxes. We know what Hunter Biden did? He didn't pay his taxes. Oh, he paid it back later with penalty and interest. Okay. And he still didn't pay his taxes. It's still a problem. Even if it's a problem generated and originating from, the folks that I'd rather see in power than the MAGAs. But still problematic. Still another rich, white, connected dude getting off. Seems like it repeats itself over and over in this country. That's what really bothers me. Folks, we got Harvey Kaye, Professor Emeritus of Democracy from the University of Wisconsin, Green Bay. He's going to join us next. We will continue these conversations on the other side. Stick around.
Sweet talk, but don't intimidate hub. Can't stop the gods from engineering. Feel no need for any interfering. Your image in the dictionary. This life is more than ordinary. Can I get you maybe even 3 of these? Coming from a space to teach you of the Pleiades. Can't stop the spirits when they need you. This life is more than just a read through.
Hello, Harvey Kaye. Can you hear me?
I can, Jess. Can you hear me fine?
Yes, I can.
Very good.
Move everyone around here. Yeah, Dom, fix your hair.
Yeah, just get out of the shower.
He can't even hear us. That's the funny part. He doesn't have his headphones on.
Okay. Did you have a nice Thanksgiving weekend?
Yes, I did. How was yours?
Really, really nice. The Thursday dinner we had we didn't have any family nearby, and we missed out on going the weekend before because my daughter had come down with COVID.
Oh,
because we were going to do an early Thanksgiving down in St. Louis, but she had COVID, which was really too bad. So anyhow, we invited a friend over who I've known since I arrived in Green Bay, who lost his wife about a year or so ago, and his son was visiting from Seattle. So it was just the 4 of us, but it was a really nice. My wife made a great turkey, and the pumpkin pie was, I think, exceptional. So it was great. Thanks.
Well, as long as the pie is exceptional, everything else just falls into place.
Even retrospectively, when you get to the pie, everything else is great. You're right.
Absolutely. All right. I have some work that I need to do on my side. I will still be able to hear you if you need me, and we'll be coming back in a little under 5 minutes.
Okay, okay.
30 seconds.
Okay.
Broadcasting across the state of Wisconsin on the Civic Media Radio Network and around the world on the Civic Media app. This is the Dom Salvia Show. And now, here's your host, Dom Salvia.
Hey, welcome to the Dom Salvia Show. Thank you so much for listening. You can be a part of this fine production, 855-752-4842, 855-75 Just PS on the board and jazzed as hell to bring back to you a favorite of ours, my favorite FDR Democrat, Harvey Kaye, Professor Emeritus of Democracy at the University of Wisconsin, Green Bay. Harvey, welcome back, man.
It's a pleasure to be back on this Monday.
I know we got a lot of things to get to, Harvey. You know how dreary things are looking these days, and of course, here in the state of Wisconsin, a Dane County judge has overturned Act 10, ruling it unconstitutional. We'll get there as well. But Harvey, I want to get your sense in and kind of bring this conversation from the last hour, continue it just for a little bit. Harvey, the pardoning of Hunter Biden by President Joe Biden. Specifically after he said he wasn't going to do it, Harvey. Democracy cannot thrive, cannot exist without law and order. What was your impression of this pardon, Harvey?
Well, first of all, I wasn't surprised because politicians who have relatives are politicians who have relatives. And let's not forget, wasn't it Jimmy Carter who pardoned Billy Carter?
Billy Beery.
Right? I think the bigger immoral act is going to be and has been when Trump pardons all those people who aren't his relatives. How's that? Okay.
Right. All the January 6th. Now,
seriously. I mean, in principle, one would have hoped that he wouldn't, do that. But Biden's never had problems changing his mind.
Sure.
Okay. I mean, 40 years, he was a neoliberal. And then all of a sudden, people were celebrating him as potentially the next FDR. And though he'd never achieved quite that, he obviously did a lot more than many of us expected him to achieve when it came to economic matters and empowering working people, etc. But it's still the case that it just didn't surprise me. I mean, the degree to which people will go to certain lengths to defend family. But on the other hand, he still is president. So yeah, I'm in political terms, I'm a little torn by it. In constitutional terms, I'm torn by it. But maybe it's the case that we ought to be rethinking all this pardon stuff, given especially what's going to be happening over the years to come.
And we can look at, and maybe we'll later on in the show, Harvey, get to what some of Trump's pardons from the last time on the way out the door that he did. We got a couple of callers, Harvey. If you don't mind, let's just clear the board, talk about the pardoning. Joe from Madison, welcome. What do you got for us?
I would throw into the mix here for you and Harvey that there's this article from The Guardian back in late October, I think it was October 24, and the title of it is Trump's Final Pitch to Voters, Retribution Vows. And within it, they talk about the fact that Trump was quite clear when he was on the campaign trail that he would consider using the military to go after political opponents. And the National Public Radio tallied more than 100 threats to investigate, prosecute, imprison, or otherwise punish his perceived opponents from Trump in the last 2 years. He's just started. I mean, once this guy gets in with Patel in there, who is going to be J. Edgar Hoover Part 2, and with a supine Supreme Court, or at least his real good friends in the Supreme Court, I think that President Biden rightly perceived, my God, what's going to happen to my kid? I think that he was right, and I would say that the next question is, my God, what about the other political opponents, such as Liz Cheney, such as Joe Biden, such as, I mean, he's just started. And I think what we're seeing, to my mind, is not a discussion about where law is going, but where is our country going once this guy gets in and his Justice Department is just, it goes after his opponents in retribution, not for justice, but for retribution. Your thoughts, I'd love to hear them. Thanks very much, you guys. Thank
you, Joe. Appreciate it. Go ahead, Harvey.
Everything you just said, I agree with your concern on every single one of those. And frankly, there are, certain things that we really need to be doing. The first one is the Democrats need to get their act together, at least regarding the question of democracy. Okay, that's absolutely imperative. They can debate all they want about the direction the party ought to go, and I have my own ideas, and I hope we'll take that up sometime, Dom. But really, it clearly is the case that the Democrats need to get together, at least to show solidarity, so that the people out here like you, me, Dom, and others will know that there are people in Washington who are prepared to seriously oppose and take serious action if necessary. The second thing is, it's striking the degree to which we may well have to rely on state politics quite often to respond to these things. And last but not least, if you do not already belong to an organization that has a commitment to solidarity for all of its members, whether it's churches or especially in the case of those of us who have been members of labor unions or could be members of labor unions, do that, because solidarity is going to be the only answer to, not necessarily if you have the money to hire a lawyer. I mean, I think that's all well and good. The more important question is solidarity with your neighbors and others on this, and especially on the community level, workplace level, etc.
Harvey Kaye, Professor Emeritus of Democracy from the University of Wisconsin, Green Bay. We'll talk about the unions. Act 10 overturned by a district county judge today, but let's squeeze L.A. Tom in while we got a moment. Tom, welcome. Happy Monday. What do you got for us?
Happy Monday. Hey, Harvey.
Hey.
All right. Regressive Republicans are very good at narrative, and the rest of their echo chamber and media infrastructure can tell a story over and over and over again, telling the same story. Democrats need a narrative, and they need to keep it simple, and they have a playbook to follow already. They need to start off and tell it as a narrative. There was a gentleman by the name of Franklin Delano Roosevelt who was a president who was elected 4 different times. In fact, progressives and regressives both loved him. We need to communicate what FDR did for us in the New Deal, including Social Security, et cetera, and then talk about how he wasn't able to fulfill his second economic Bill of Rights. And that's whatever the politician is, that's what I'm doing as a Democrat, is to fulfill what wasn't done because of FDR's death. He believed in high taxes on the morbidly rich, in today's words, the economic royalists, the billionaire class. We need to discuss the difference between public and private in the commons. And Harvey, I just want to get your thoughts, because I'll tell you what, one thing Bernie did not do, Bernie did not tie himself to FDR. He got too caught up in the word socialist. Whoever it is that comes into our party next better start saying, I am an FDR Democrat, and I am a proud FDR Democrat. And if you don't know what FDR is or who he was, then get out your damn history book and start reading.
And Google it, says Tom.
Hey, better than that,
you.
Tom. Not just any history book. Pick up The Fight for the Four Freedoms, What Made FDR and the Greatest Generation Truly Great. By the way, I'm the author.
A truly great author. Harvey, the term FDR Democrat, we've been using that here as of late. Do you think that can resonate?
Well, I mean, for a long time, it did resonate. I mean, it resonated all the way into the early 1970s. Since the 1970s, it's not just the Republicans who've gone out of their way to hijack history and pervert the past, in essence, but it's also been the Democrats who have turned their back on that tradition. And similarly, you know, when I was back when I was in my teen years, I'm pretty sure that when I turned on conventions, political conventions, Democratic Party conventions, they used to take pride in their forebears. They used to, seriously, whether it was Thomas Jefferson, but most especially Franklin Roosevelt, even Harry Truman, JFK. I mean, I don't feel as warmly towards everyone as I do towards FDR, but they did. And I think Tom's right. The Democrats need to start laying hold of that story and reminding people of what was entailed in that story, what not just FDR produced, but what a whole generation produced between the 1930s and the 1960s. That, I think that's imperative. Remind people of two things. Remind people of, one, of what is possible when working people join together in support of a politician they've come to trust. And second, that it's imperative that people understand it's not just a matter of voting for the candidate who promises to fight for you, but vote for the candidate, if they're a Democrat or progressive, who inspires the fight in you. Because as Bernie said when he was running, despite his failures to make much more of FDR, as he said when asked, well, what are you going to do if Congress or the courts don't back your initiatives? He said, well, that's when the American people have to step forward. It's not just me, it's us. And then he coined the what they call the hashtag, not me, us.
Harvey Kaye, Professor Emeritus of Democracy, University of Wisconsin, Green Bay. Talking about community, talking about labor unions. Well, here we go. Act 10 overturned by a Dane County judge. You know, the Republicans are going to love that. And according to the reporting here, Harvey, the lawsuit focused or argued that the 2011 law, it violated equal protection guarantees in the Constitution by dividing public employees into two classes, one being general and the other being the new one, public safety. And of course, the public safety were exempt from the collective bargaining limitations. The judge said he couldn't, deal with this piece with that in there. Couldn't just throw it out and have the law stand. So now we'll see what happens. It goes, presumably, it'll be appealed and perhaps ends up in front of Wisconsin's now liberal Supreme Court. Harvey, we got 2 minutes left in this segment. What's your response, and how do you think this will impact public labor unions, at least in the short run?
I can tell you that the union I have belonged to, the American Federation of Teachers here in the state of Wisconsin, Wisconsin AFT, is revving up right now to organize and organize and organize, because undeniably there are obstructions over forthcoming, possibly. One is a Supreme Court election coming up this spring that could change the composition of the court again. And of course, and ultimately, no matter who gets elected to the court this time, the question of how the court as a body responds to this, the challenge that will inevitably come from the right. Voss and others have already promised. Okay. But I think it's important that my union, the NEA, and other unions do everything they can. One last thing: when they included only police and firefighters in the category, they exempted other law enforcement officers. They exempted Capitol Police and they exempted university police, campus police. I mean, they were so quick to succeed that they probably,
They made
mistakes.
an unconstitutional law because they were so quick to try to jam it through, violate equal protection guarantees in the Constitution. But I guess depends on the judge, depends on the court, Harvey. You know, people have different interpretations of what is and is not unconstitutional.
When we come back, we come back after the break, I can tell you what that decision today led me to be thinking about. Back in 2000, I remembered the 2011 experience. I'd like to recall that.
All right, Harvey K, come back with us, 855-752-4842. More on Wisconsin's Act 10.
Can I speak?
Two minutes, Harvey.
Okay. Is Dom still on the air, on the ears or not? On the headset?
He can hear you if I turn your channel on.
Okay, turn it on. Okay. Dom, I'm not trying to take over the show. It's just that this morning when I got the text from my friend John Shelton, all I could do was, first of all, I almost broke into tears. I thought, finally, okay.
Yeah.
But I would like to recall, were you in the state in 2011 when
Yes.
all this unfolded? Okay. I just want to recall my experience in the state capitol at that time, okay?
Certainly. Yeah,
Great.
of course.
Thank you.
That'd be great. Yeah. I love it, man. No worries. That's why you're here, baby.
Thanks.
Make it happen. Make it happen, Harvey. I want to hear all about it, man.
You bet. Thank you very much.
All right, cool.
All right, I'm turning your channels
All
off
right.
now.
Okay.
Harvey, I can still hear you if you need me.
Okay. Good, because I was going to ask you, remind me, how much we got now? 2 minutes, 3 minutes? What is it?
I got a little over 1 minute left.
1 minute. Good. All the better. I'm here.
$15.
I hear your voice in the wind. It follows me. It cuts right through the noise.
And welcome back to the Dom Salvia Show, 855-752-4842, 855-75 at Civic. Harvey K, Professor Emeritus of Democracy from the University of Wisconsin, Green Bay, sticking around for this segment. Harvey, we're talking about the Act 10 overturned by a Dane County judge. You had some thoughts. You had some memories you want to share. Please do, Harvey.
Yeah, I mean, when I got a text from my friend John Shelton, who's the vice president of the AFT in the state, telling me of the judge's decision, I mean, I was close not to crying, but I welled up a little bit because I remembered so well the night that my wife and I went down and spent at the state capitol, marching around and then going into the capitol. First of all, I think it's important for everyone to know that this was the state that in 1959 first granted public employees the right to organize and bargain collectively. We were the history-making state, and it was astonishing to my mind that here was 50 years later, 51 years later, 52 years later if you count to 2011, in which Republicans were stripping working people of their rights in this state. And that was truly, in the grand course of history, that was almost the criminal act, really, okay? And they shoved it through in a late night thing. They knew that if there was a public debate about all this, they would definitely not have their way. But they got their way. Now, when we went down, and the marches had already begun over several weekends, if my numbers may be off, but I went down with the spirit of, look, I'm a union member. I've got to be down there at least for some time to express my anger, and yet at the same time my hopes that we could save our collective bargaining rights. Well, first of all, I was amazed. I mean, it was cold down there in Madison. It was cold all across the state. It was cold, and people were marching around very peacefully. And also, what amazed me is the degree to which you felt a certain sympathy on the part of the police who were supervising it all of that. And then when you got into the Capitol, if you opted to go in, I mean, it was not just masses of people, but I could not believe how clean everything was. I mean, it was in many ways sort of so Wisconsin. It was clean. It was orderly. Everybody was nice. Everyone was having a good spirited time. Okay. This is what democracy looks like. And at a certain point, I did tear up on occasion that night. I could not believe just how much the feeling of solidarity prevailed. And I was a columnist at the time, with the occasional columnist for the Huffington Post. And I wrote a piece about it. And I said to people, this was a night in which one had to feel proud to be a Wisconsinite, not because of the state legislature, God forbid, okay, but because of the state's citizens and how we turned out. And by the way, that place remained clean, completely in contrast, should any MAGA type bring it up, to what transpired that day on January 6th, in which people stormed the Capitol and were prepared to kill and maim and kill people. I mean, this was a totally different experience. So, I was Wisconsin proud then, and now I'm hoping I can be truly again Wisconsin proud. And don't forget, later the Republicans turned around and turned us into a right-to-work state, even for private sector employees. So we have a lot to take back. I used to say take back America. Well, I say take back Wisconsin.
Harvey Kaye, Professor Emeritus of Democracy, University of Wisconsin, Green Bay. A little bit from the reporting, as mentioned, the lawsuit here claimed that the law violated equal protection guarantees. The judge, Frost, agreed. And here's what he said. I cannot solve Act 10's constitutional problems by striking the definition of, quote, public safety employee, leaving the term undefined, and leaving the remainder of the law in place. He added that Act 10, as written by the legislature, specifically and narrowly defines public safety employee. It is that definition which is unconstitutional. The legislature cites no precedent for this bold argument that should simply strike the unlawful definition and leave it to an agency and the courts to later define as they see fit. I am unaware of any such precedent. Interpreting public safety employee after striking the legislative definition would be an exercise in the absurd. Of course, Scott Walker had something to say about it, Harvey. He called it brazen political activism. Quote, this makes the April 2025 Wisconsin Supreme Court race that much more important. We want a state where legislators and the governor make the laws, not the courts, question mark. Also,
hey, wait, is that the Scott Walker who conned us with Foxconn? Wait a minute. Is that Scott Walker?
I think it's that same
guy.
one. Yeah.
That guy.
That one.
He goes on in a second tweet. Collective bargaining is not a right. It's an expensive entitlement.
Yeah, well, I'm sorry. It's outrageous. When he took them, by the way, it wasn't like it was just they took away our collective bargaining rights. I mean, that was criminal enough. They actually took away parts of our income. Okay. I mean, I lost 10% of my income every year because he decided that my pension shouldn't be as good as it was, and that he was going to take the money and make a gift in his mind to the citizens of Wisconsin, and never mentioned, by the way, I'm giving you some money because I've just taken it out of the pockets of teachers and professors and basically the folks who serve you in the public realm.
But not the cops, which, of course, comes to the equal protection.
Well, not some of the cops.
Some of the cops, they did. The West Dems, Harvey, for our last statement here, Ben Wickler issued a statement today. Today's ruling marks an important victory for working people in Wisconsin and affirms what's long been clear. Scott Walker's attack on public employees was not just a national disgrace. It was unconstitutional. With this decision, working families will once again have the right to organize, a right stripped away by Scott Walker's divide and conquer strategy that pitted working Wisconsinites against each other to the benefit of wealthy special interests. And Harvey,
that's well said. The best thing I've ever heard him say. Well said.
And you think the unions are acting right now? They're getting on the horse and they're getting ready to organize.
I know my union. I know my
Yeah.
union is. I know my union was active. I believe in that particular lawsuit that the judge decided on.
So it's great news. We have some good news, right?
Exactly. I said to you earlier when you said, "Can I make it out?" I said, "I don't know. Things were looking pretty bleak. You know, it was cold. It was gray. It was like a November day. Not even December is usually cold, but it's usually get some sunshine in there. But this was like a November day, which we've had enough of those."
We'll take any sunshine we can get, and you are a ray of sunshine. Harvey K., Professor Emeritus of Democracy at the University of Wisconsin, Green Bay. Harvey, always love it when you make time for me on the Mondays, man. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Hope to see you again soon.
All right, folks, this is the Dom Salvia Show. You can join 855-752-4842, 855-75-Civic. Stick around. Thanks, Harvey. Salvia Show, 855-752-4842, 855-75 Civic. It's a text line. It's a phone line. You can be a part. I want to thank a most recent guest, Harvey K., Professor Emeritus of Democracy at the University of Wisconsin, Green Bay. He's a cool cat. He usually comes around on Mondays. I love it. Harvey reaches out and sends me, hey, Act 10. Oh, it's very
There's
bleak.
stuff happening.
You want to talk about it, Harvey? Yeah. Harvey's a good cat, and I certainly appreciate, and I know I make fun of our older friends, but Harvey's been around, man, and he knows his stuff, and I really appreciate his perspective, especially the influence from FDR, and I know a lot of our listeners are big FDR fans. FDR Democrats. I'm gonna be an FDR Democrat. I like that idea.
You could be an FDR Democrat.
I'm gonna take that. I'm gonna be that now.
All right, once an independent, now an FDR Democrat.
Today, maybe I'll change my mind, like Biden did. Oh man! All right, so
we're back on this. Huh?
Just a little bit,
just a little. Okay,
just a little bit. And if you have some thoughts on it, maybe we'll stick on this topic for just a few more minutes. 855-752-4842. And I want to do a little compare and contrast. Dug this one up from NPR, December 23rd of 2020.
Okay.
Trump on his way out the door.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
He had a whole string of pardons.
Oh, he certainly did. According to the reporting from way back when, Trump issued dozens more pardons on Wednesday evening to many wealthy and well-connected convicts with ties to his innermost circles, including former campaign chairman Paul Manafort, Republican operative Roger Stone, and Charles Kushner, the father-in-law of Ivanka Trump. But you can call him Mr. Ambassador to France from now on. In total, Trump pardoned 26 people and commuted the sentences of 3 more people. The second consecutive night of what is expected to be a flurry of acts of clemency before he leaves office. Oh, yeah. I think they were cashing those checks. Let's talk briefly. Manafort, Stone, and Mr. Kushner, if we may.
Absolutely.
I think there's some meat on the bone here. Paul Manafort. Now, this was his campaign manager. According to NPR here, Manafort, who was sentenced to more than 7 years in prison. 7 years in prison after being convicted of bank and tax fraud, in addition to other crimes, was released in May from a minimum security federal lockup and moved to home confinement over concerns about the coronavirus. Here's what the White House press secretary said at the time. As a result of blatant prosecutorial overreach, Mr. Manafort has endured years of unfair treatment and is one of the most prominent victims of what has been revealed to be perhaps the greatest witch hunt in American history.
There seem to have been a lot of those.
I mean, when you put it like that, it sounds really bad. Shortly after the announcement, Manafort expressed his gratitude on Twitter back then. Mr. President, my family and I humbly thank you for the presidential pardon you bestowed upon me. Words cannot fully convey how grateful we are. Now, what did he do? Well, Manafort spent his career as a high-level power broker. I want to be a high-level power broker.
You want to be a lot of things right now.
and advocate for some of the most infamous clients in the world, including dictators like Ferdinand Marcos and Mobutu Sese Seko. In the 2000s, Manafort connected with Viktor Yanukovych, a Russian-friendly strongman who served as president of Ukraine. Ooh.
Oh.
Remember that? Okay. So Yanukovych was a president of Ukraine until he was thrown out of power in a popular revolt. Now, Manafort made millions of dollars while working for Yanukovych, but his work in Ukraine set the stage for Manafort's eventual prosecution and his imprisonment. Manafort and his protege, Rick Gates, remember him, hid from authorities the money they earned in Ukraine and came to the attention of U.S. investigators before the two went to work in 2016 for the then candidate, Donald Trump. So these cats were stashing millions of dollars, and they were working with Viktor Yanukovych, who was a Russian-friendly strongman. So the billionaires were basically paying Manafort. Russian billionaires were paying Manafort.
Correct.
That's how, and then he took that money, and did he do the right thing and pay his taxes? Well, no, he didn't. No, hell no. I don't have to pay taxes. Little people pay taxes. So he got busted. 7 years, and Donald Trump, well, he gave him a pardon. Another star here, Kushner, Charles Kushner, the father of Jared. Jared wasn't hatched. The father of Jared, who serves as a senior advisor to the president and is married to Ivanka. Again, this is back from 2020. Now, Charles Kushner is a real estate billionaire. Now, he served 2 years in prison for tax evasion and retaliating against a federal witness who happened to be his brother-in-law. Now, if you folks don't know the story, this is one of my favorites, so bear with me. You can join me as well, 855-752-4842. So Charles Kushner, Jared's father, is a billionaire, did 2 years for tax evasion and retaliating against a federal witness. Here's the background. After making a fortune in New Jersey, the developer came under investigation in 2003 by then U.S. Attorney Chris Christie for making illegal campaign contributions. I mean, when you're a billionaire, you can do anything. You can do it. Grab by the Now, Charles Kushner's brother-in-law and former employee, his name William Shoulder, eventually became a witness for federal prosecutors. In a move to exact revenge on his brother-in-law for the betrayal, Kushner devised a bizarre blackmail plot.
Oh, good.
He hired a prostitute to sleep with his brother-in-law, secretly videotaped the encounter, and then mailed the tape of it to his own sister.
That's messed up.
Yeah, man, come on.
That's messed up.
It's just like 80s Dynasty or some stuff, man. But the move backfired. Shoulder and his wife turned the tape over to prosecutors. Now, Chris Christie, remember, he was in Trump's orbit for a minute back in 2016.
Minute.
And then he was out.
And then he was booted out.
Yeah, I mean, he prosecuted Jared's dad, and you don't do that to Jared's dad.
You can't do that.
At the time, Christie said the case was, quote, one of the most loathsome, disgusting crimes he's ever prosecuted.
Well.
Now, in the end, Kushner pleaded guilty to 16 counts of tax evasion, 1 count of retaliating against a federal witness, and another count of lying to the Federal Election Commission. And then back then, on Wednesday, this is back in 2020, the White House cited Kushner's philanthropy as one of the reasons for Trump's pardon. Quote, since completing his sentence in 2006, Mr. Kushner has been devoted to important philanthropic organizations and causes such as this and that, yada, 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 so on and so forth. This record of reform and charity overshadows Kushner's convictions and 2-year sentence for preparing false tax returns, witness retaliation, and making false statements to the FEC, according to Trump.
According to Trump.
That's
a pretty big disclaimer right there.
Yeah. He's totally fine. He donated some money, so he's good. You know, he's a billionaire. I mean, come on. He set up your brother-in-law with a hooker or the total honeypot. I mean, how Russian is that? All right. And then one more, talking about pardons here from back in 2020. Roger Stone.
Oh, boy. Okay.
Now, the case against Roger Stone was brought by then special counsel Robert Mueller as part of his probe into Russia's interference in the 2016 election and possible ties between Moscow and the Trump campaign. Now, Stone was indicted on charges of lying to Congress about what he and then candidate Trump knew about Russian efforts to discredit Hillary Clinton in the 2016 campaign, witness tampering, and obstruction. The charges related to his efforts during the 2016 presidential race to act as an intermediary between the Trump campaign and WikiLeaks. Oh, yeah, Stone was involved there. But days before Stone, who was Trump's longtime friend and political confidant, was to report to prison in July, the president commuted his 40-month prison sentence. What was he doing? Well, he was lying about the Russian efforts to discredit Hillary Clinton's campaign and acting as an intermediary with the WikiLeaks, who, of course, hacked. Hey, Russia, if you're listening, if you find those emails, people in the press really like it. And then that happened, but no, nothing to see here. Nothing to see here. And there's more to it, but you get the gist. So those were a few of the pardons from Donald Trump. Now, Roger Stone, mind you, if you look at some of the, and there's obviously tons of video from January 6th, the insurrection, the riot, the love fest gone wrong. Roger
Not
Stone.
gone wrong according to Trump.
Roger Stone.
Everything was perfect.
So perfect. There's love in the air. Go home. We love you. It's very special. Roger Stone was palling around, and he had bodyguards who I believe they were the Proud Boys.
Oh, yeah, they were.
Yeah.
They were.
So, and some of those Proud Boys were convicted of seditious conspiracy. And as my concerns I've relayed to all of you often, is that basically, as mentioned here, Roger Stone is a buddy of Donald Trump's.
Mm-hmm.
And he was palling around with, folks convicted of seditious conspiracy. So I just wonder, like, were there conversations? What were the phone texts, the lines, the connections? How was it done? I would imagine there's some questions to be answered. But now, because all you folks voted for Donald Trump, there's nothing to see here. You just allowed it to happen. So I blame all you Trump voters for that. We'll never know if Donald Trump, at least not right now, maybe someday it'll be some leak out of the FBI or someone will grab a file somewhere that shows the call log records from, I don't know, say the Proud Boys to Roger Stone or Roger Stone to Trump himself directly, or maybe one of Trump's sycophants, to relay some information about how it's going to be wild on January 6th. And then, some of those folks arrested and convicted of seditious conspiracy, doing 20 plus years. I just want to make sure you guys remember that, because it's not trespassing. It's not the real estate agent getting caught up in all the action. Seditious conspiracy. Those guys were bodyguarding Roger Stone, who Trump pardoned. Pardoned and got him away from doing what? From a 40-month sentence. So there are some pardons. There's some discussions to be had around pardons. If we're going to have them, there's a couple from your guy.
Yeah, let's dig into it from both sides, shall we?
We're to both sides.
We're in both sides.
Hey, everybody does it. Wisco Paul, what's up, man? Happy Monday. What do you got for us?
Thanks for taking my call, Dom. You and the young lady are doing an awesome job together.
Thank you, buddy.
I would like to make this. I would like to make. I'll just make a quick point. The Republicans should sit down and be quiet, because they just elected a president that is guilty of multiple felonies and is liable for rape. And I don't think I have to say anything more than that. Great show.
Thanks, buddy. Yeah, everyone's very concerned about the Hunter Biden pardon. Oh, my God, he was smoking crack and bought a gun and didn't pay his taxes. And these guys are like, where'd you get the crack? Because these guys got guns, and lots of Republicans don't pay their taxes. Hell, the new ambassador to France did some time for not paying his taxes, and he was a billionaire.
I think that we should be having this conversation about, should Biden have pardoned his son? And let's remember that, 49% of people voted for a convicted felon, voted for a man who was found liable for rape, and we're fine with this. Yeah, let's have a conversation about pardoning and whether it was the right thing to do, whether it was the right time to do it. And many things can be true at once. We can hold on to multiple things.
We can. We're adults.
We're adults.
CJ,
most days.
You are up. Welcome, CJ, our conservative love muffin. What do you got for us, man?
Well, thanks for taking my call, Dom. You and Jen selectively picked what this deal was about, actually, is the Biden family took $25+ million that they know of, and from China, Ukraine, and Russia.
God, that sounds
and
illegal.
That's the fact.
Yeah.
Remember? And here's the thing, they got bank records for it. And the funny thing is that you and your party have been so gullible to believe Biden. You're shocked that he did this. I said it months ago to you and Crudy, and you laughed. And Kash Patel.
Yeah, I mean, I got a problem with my politicians lying to me, CJ. I mean, do you have a problem with Donald Trump telling you that he's going to build a wall and Mexico's going to pay for it?
Well, here we go. Another piece of deflection.
It's not deflection, man. It's about a politician lying to you. No, here I'm going to tell you what it's about, CJ. It's about politicians standing up and saying a bunch of BS, feeding it to us, and then not following through with it. And if you got a problem with the pardon, my only problem with the pardon is that Joe Biden said he wasn't going to do it, and he did it. Your guys said Mexico's going to pay for the wall, and they didn't, and they won't again. 855-752-4842. Come back. One last segment. And welcome back to the Dom Salvia Show, 855-752-4842, 855-75 Civics. A lot of texters have comments about CJ, but we're not going to read them on. Wait, what was the one about boiled egg and house insulation?
Thanks, Cam, for that. Thanks, Cam.
The cabinet. Let's talk a little bit about the cabinet. And there's a lot to get to. We're gonna have to maybe carry this over into tomorrow's conversation. But found this one at the Daily Beast and Pete Hegseth.
Pete Hegseth,
the foxy guy. His mom, not a big fan of Pete, apparently.
Not according to a letter that she wrote.
Which she apparently did retract.
Apparently,
later, once it came out. According to the Daily Beast, Hegseth's mother trashed his character in a blistering email shortly after his contentious divorce from his second wife, Samantha, the mother of his 3 children. Oh, divorced and baby mamas, and it sounds very Trumpy. Penelope Hegseth, 70, wrote that President-elect Donald Trump's pick for defense secretary had been mistreating women for years, which puts him on the top of the list for Donald Trump.
Well, that's a requirement.
I think it is
in order to be nominated.
Yeah.
You need to have a history of abuse, scandal, and breaking every ethics guideline possible.
And someone in your family's got to throw you into the bus.
Someone needs to.
Yeah. In this case, it's mom.
It's mom.
No, I get it. Divorces can be ugly.
They can be messy.
Yeah, families, whatever, all that. But come on,
this
Ma.
is a scathing letter.
Damn, Ma.
Yeah.
Here's what Ma said to Hegseth. Penelope, on behalf of all the women, and I know it's many, you have abused in some way, I say, get some help and take an honest look at yourself. Penelope wrote that on April 30th of 2018. She went on, I have no respect for any man that belittles, lies, cheats, sleeps around, and uses women for his own power and ego. You are that man and have been for years. And as your mother, it pains me and embarrasses me to say that. But it is the sad, sad truth.
Oof.
Dagger heart. Damn.
But was she describing her son there, or was she describing Trump? I was trying to keep count there, and it just.
See, the nice thing with these guys, they can pluck one away, put one in. They're all kind of the same, right? That's why they're all together.
That's why they're all in a
birds
group.
of a feather.
Yeah.
Now, the stunning email, according to the Daily Beast, was obtained by the New York Times and published in a report on Friday night. Hegseth's mother also condemned his treatment of Samantha during their bitter divorce, writing, quote, for you to try to label her as unstable for your own advantage is despicable and abusive. Is there any sense of decency left in you? No, so he's gaslighting her on top of it. You're crazy. She's hysterical. I said that to you, really.
Yes, you did.
Tongue in cheek, though. Penelope goes on. She did not ask for or deserve any of what has come to her by your hand. Neither did Meredith.
Ooh.
Who's Meredith?
First wife.
Apparently that's the first wife. So many wives. Now, speaking with the Times on Friday, Penelope Hegseth, mom, says she had recanted the claims contained in the email and now regrets sending it. Here's the new statement.
Okay.
It's not true. It's never been true. I know my son. He's a good father, husband. She said the publishing of the contents of the first email was disgusting. Disgusting?
I think the abuse maybe was disgusting. The gaslighting.
Hegseth was accused of rape by a woman he met at a Republican conference in Monterey, California, 2017. He admitted to paying the woman off to protect his hosting job at Fox News, but strenuously denied her claim, saying the encounter was consensual. He was never charged. His second wife filed for divorce after it emerged that he had been having an affair with Fox News executive Jennifer Ratchet, 39. The two have a daughter together and married in 2019 at a Trump golf course. So is that three?
That's three
wives
marriages
and 2 baby mamas.
All right.
And counting.
So he's almost on a level with Trump.
I mean, he's getting there.
He's getting there.
Oh, but wait, there's more.
There's more.
But wait, there's more. If you call now, Pete Hegseth, let's see, faces a new magazine report detailing his alleged alcohol abuse, sexual impropriety, and mismanagement while running 2 veterans nonprofit groups. Well,
no, put him in charge.
You know, if you can't take some money out of the nonprofit at the strip club. The report published by the New Yorker, and I did look at this, is very long, so I'm reading the CNBC.com review, citing a previously undisclosed whistleblower complaint written in 2015, says that Hegseth was drunk on repeated occasions while acting as president of the Concerned Veterans of America to the point of needing to be carried out of the organization's events.
Yikes.
Oh, come on, man. Hold your liquor.
Hold your liquor, at least.
At one point, Hegseth had to be restrained while drunk from joining the dancers on the stage of a Louisiana strip club where he had brought his team. Man.
Oh, man.
Are you hiring, what is it, Concerned Veterans of America? I want to party with you, cowboy. I mean, if you can't get up and dance with the strippers, what kind of a club is it? The report also says that Hegseth, who was married at the time, I mean, this guy's always married.
It seems like
Or
it.
he's out getting rid of one and got another coming. He was married at the time, and other members of his management team sexually pursued the organization's female staffers, whom they divided into 2 groups, the party girls and the not party girls, the New Yorker's Jane Mayer wrote.
Oh, that sounds like such a healthy workplace.
He was later forced to step down as president of the CVA in 2016, in part due to, quote, concerns about his mismanagement and abuse of alcohol on the job, the magazine said, citing what it called 3 knowledgeable sources, one of whom contributed to the whistleblower report. I mean, it's what I dance with the strippers on the stage and, you know, pursuing our nonprofit females into party girls. I bet they went after the party girls, right?
Of course.
Yeah. Well, you could maybe convert the non-party girls.
Maybe.
Terrible. That's your new Pentagon chief? Hey, folks, thank you so much for listening. Thank you, Harvey K., Professor Emeritus at University of Wisconsin, Green Bay. Stick around. Pete Schwaba from Nightlight coming up next. Thanks, Jess.